Chapter 27. The Psalm of Rejoicing. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When we are led by the Spirit of the Most High, the condition of want is removed completely, which means that we shall want of nothing. There is nothing that we may need or desire for the living of the complete life that we shall not receive when the Lord is our shepherd. We shall have abundance in every domain of existence, and no matter how great our demands may be, the adequate supply will always be at hand, provided, however, that our demands are in accord with the ascending life, that life that leads to the heights. We are not required to place limitations upon our demands or desires. The Supreme is not limited in His power to supply. It is our privilege to desire everything that we may need to make life as large, as perfect, and as beautiful as we possibly can. In brief, the more we desire, the greater becomes the life we live. And the greatest life is the most acceptable life to God as well as to man. We do not please God by humbling ourselves into insignificance. The Infinite does not ask us to be small because He is great. He does not demand that we be satisfied with little because He has everything. This is not the nature of God, because God is love, and love eternally declares, "Be as I am. Come and enjoy everything that I have to enjoy. What is mine is thine. What is for me is for thee, and nothing shall be withheld whatever." To want for nothing means that we shall be in possession of everything that is necessary to a life that is all the real life is intended to be. This means that we shall have all the peace that the soul may require, even the peace that passeth understanding. We shall have all the wisdom and all the power that we may need to attain in life, whatever our highest aspirations may have in view. We shall have sufficient joy to satisfy perfectly every element in the whole of being. We shall have happiness without measure, harmony as beautiful as the symphonies of heaven, and health and perfection forever. Not a moment shall your body know any ailment whatever, and not a moment shall your mind know sorrow or pain. This is the truth. It could not be otherwise when the Lord is your shepherd. God is love, and love leads away from ills and pains into the infinite delights of sublime existence. God is equal to all your needs. He can give health and strength to the body. He can give peace and power to the mind. He can give wisdom and joy to the soul. He can surround your personal life with all that is rich and beautiful in physical existence. He can surround your spiritual life with all that is gorgeous and sublime in cosmic existence. And when you select Him as your shepherd, He will. Take God at His word. Do not believe in His goodness and power and then act as if your belief was not true. Believe that He will actually supply your every need. Then act accordingly. Have faith in abundance and expect your faith to come true. You shall not be kept waiting, nor shall you long remain empty-handed. Your prayer shall be answered. Your need shall be supplied, and all that your life may require shall now become your own. Do not depend upon yourself alone. The belief that man must depend wholly upon himself to rise to the heights of being is not true. Man alone can do nothing of real worth. It is only when we work with God and God works with us that we can do what the ideal within us desires to do. The greatest things in the world are done by those who constantly depend upon God, who walk with God and live with God, and then make the fullest, the largest and the best use of those powers they are eternally receiving from God. Wherever you may go, or whatever you may wish to do, take the Lord for your shepherd, and you shall positively gain what you have in view. Failure becomes impossible because God is equal to any conditions that may arise, and so long as you are with God, God is with you. Though you may meet adversity, you need not be disturbed. Something will happen. God will cause something to happen so that things will take a turn. You shall be led into pastures green, where all your desires shall be granted. Then you shall want for nothing. Remember, you shall want for nothing. This is the great truth to understand fully and demonstrate fully in the actual living of life. The secret is absolute trust and faith in the goodness and power of the Supreme. Believe that God is your shepherd. Believe that you can want for nothing so long as He is with you. Then act accordingly. Live as if you actually believe that your belief was true, and you shall find it to be true. It is only when we live the truth that the truth proves itself to be the truth. Do not wait for external evidence before you proceed to act upon your faith. Real faith has any amount of eternal evidence, and any principle that proves itself to be true in the within can be demonstrated to be true in the without. What the vision of the soul may declare, the powers of the personal man can supply, and the daily life can be made as true, as beautiful, and as sublime as the life that is lived in the heights. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. To be led by the Spirit of the Most High is to pass through perpetual change, to pass from the good to the better, from the better to the best, and then higher and higher into those richer realms that infinite love has in store. In such a life there is always something new to live for, always something higher, something better to enjoy. Such a life can never be wearisome nor monotonous, for it is nothing less than a continuous feast, the richest imaginable feast, and all the elements of that feast are changed as often as we desire. It is in this feast that we partake of the meat that ye know not of, and it is in this feast that the soul is nourished unto eternal life. Then comes the great spiritual strength that gives us the power to transcend the seeming and enter into the realms of existing sublime. And how beautiful to enter the pastures green of those lofty worlds, there to lie down and rest in the peace that passeth understanding, in the deep eternal calm that touches the soul with the symphonies of heaven. And how beautiful to be led beside the still waters, the living waters of celestial kingdoms on high, peacefully flowing onward and onward into that fair kingdom, wherein we shall enter some golden morn, there to behold what eternity has in store for man. When we follow the Spirit, countless worlds are constantly opening before us, and in those worlds there are pastures green everywhere. In those we shall find nourishment for the soul. In these we shall find rest for the spirit. Then shall the soul come forth with new strength. Then shall the Spirit arise with power, and the spiritual life within us shall begin its great eternal reign. And when the Spirit begins its reign, the outer world takes upon itself the peace, the wholeness, the harmony, and the perfection of the beautiful life within. Adversity disappears. Wrongs give place to the purity of life divine. Imperfections are lost in the dimness of the past, and the richness that we find in the pastures green of realms sublime is reproduced in personal existence. Then we shall realize in the without what the soul has discerned in the within. Then the joys of the Spirit shall be made known to the person, and the life in this world shall become the image and likeness of that other life that our most lofty moments have so beautifully revealed. When the Infinite leads you and guides you, you will constantly be led into the larger, the greater, and the better. Pasture greens will always be ready for you the very moment you are ready for a larger, richer life. You will never have to remain in the lesser for a single moment after you are ready for the greater. The Most High will open the way for you, and the increase you desire in your life shall speedily become your own. All the world rests upon the great law of perpetual increase, and the pathway of all life is upward and onward forever. Therefore, to follow the law of life is to ever ascend into a greater and greater measure of the highest good that life can give. The great law of life is the law of infinite life because God is the source of all law and all life. And since God lives as his own law directs, we understand that when we follow the laws of life, we shall live as he lives. And we always follow his laws when we are led by him. We therefore conclude that all life that is led by the Spirit of infinite life will ever live in perpetual increase. In such a life, the greatest good in life will be enjoyed now, and that good will become higher and greater without any end. The great truth to remember is that God always leads into the greater, never to the lesser. When the Lord is your shepherd, you will eternally be led into pastures green, and every new pasture will be richer than the one before you. Walk with God, live in the presence and the power of his Spirit, and follow the light of the Supreme in all things. Then you shall be led eternally into greater and greater things. The boundless will ever be at your door, and your faith will open the door. This is a great truth. It is a truth that we must always remember and always apply, because we can receive from the infinite supply only what we believe that we will receive. Believe with heart and soul that you will receive everything that is necessary to the fullness and completeness of ideal living. And you will receive all these things if you have taken the Lord for your shepherd. He will lead you into pastures green, and your faith will open your life to all richness that those newer worlds may contain. The infinite never leads into trouble, sickness, adversity, or pain. When we enter such conditions, we are not led by the Spirit of the Most High. We are simply going away from his Spirit, and thus create the very ills from which we soon must suffer. When we go away from God, we create evil. This is the only way that evil can be created, and the evil we thus create is the only evil that can ever come to us. Therefore, the one great remedy that can heal all the ills of human life is found in that wonderful statement, "Return ye unto God." When people who claim to be spiritual are led into sickness and trouble, they are either mistaking emotionalism for spirituality, or their spirituality is yet but a negative quality. When we begin to walk with God, we begin to gain real spirituality. But such a spirituality is not simply a beautiful vision of the perfect and the divine, nor is it simply an ecstatic feeling or a tender sentiment. It is the great spiritual life within coming forth with living power. Spirituality is sweet and tender and beautiful, but it is also immensely strong. Therefore, when we are in possession of real spirituality, the ills of life must vanish, just as darkness disappears with the coming of the light. No ill can exist in the living power of the Spirit, and we are always filled through with that power when we are in the Spirit, when we are living in that life that God lives. And when the Lord is our shepherd, he invariably leads us into his life, his world, his kingdom, and into his light, wherein we shall know the truth that gives freedom to all, that is the being of man. When you are led beside the still waters, everything in your life will move smoothly, and all your efforts, experiences, and moods of existence will work together harmoniously for greater and greater good. At first or for some time there may be conditions in your life that are not as they should be, but these will soon pass away. And while they do remain, you will be so strong if you live in God that no adversity can disturb you in the least. When you are led by the Spirit of the Most High, adversity will become less and less, while you gain in strength more and more, so that whatever adversity you may for a while meet will be as nothing in your life. You thus become able to master whatever may appear in the present, and you are at the same time rising out of every condition that is in any manner undesirable or adverse. You are led beside the still waters into the peace, the contentment, and the joy of complete emancipation. The life that is led by the Spirit is the most peaceful, the most comfortable, and the most sweetly serene of all life. It is ever beside the still waters and is ever touched with the great eternal calm. But it is also the most interesting as well as the most beautiful, for it is ever moving onward and onward. And here we find a great secret. The great life is not the life that imitates the storm-tossed sea, but the life that is deep and strong and always peaceful and still. Such a life is great in power, limitless in capacity, and wonderful in efficiency, but in all things at all times is forever sweetly serene. Such a life sounds the very depth of real being and calmly brings to the surface the rich treasures of those inexhaustible realms within. And thus the entire domain of human existence is made larger, richer, and more beautiful without an end. We shall ever find pastures green both in the within and in without, and besides the still waters we shall be led into the peaceful life that we have sometimes felt when the soul was attuned to God. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. When we enter into the life of the infinite, all that is high, all that is perfect, and all that is beautiful as the soul will be restored to consciousness. The glory, the divinity, and the sublime majesty of the soul will be revealed. The veil of mystery will be removed, and we may behold the gorgeous splendor of the spiritual life as it truly is. The soul is no longer lost from view. We are no longer ignorant of the wonderful life within us. The heavens are open, so to speak, and we may see most clearly and most perfectly that eternal something within us that is created in the image and likeness of God. Our divine nature is restored to us. We learn what we are. We discover our great inheritance. We find that we are not mere human creatures, but sons of the Most High, destined to reign with him on the heights of glory, and to live in a sublime kingdom during countless ages yet to be. When the soul is restored, our inner spiritual nature becomes the ruling power in life. Mind and body become servant to the soul, and we no longer live for circumstances, conditions, and things. We begin to live for life itself. But we thus gain in an ever-increasing measure all the richness, all the beauty, and all the power that life can give. When we live for life, we can gain everything of worth that is in life, and we invariably live for life when the soul is the ruling power in life. In the life of the soul, all is perfect and all is well, because the soul lives the same great life that God lives. Therefore, when the soul becomes the ruling power in personal life, we will live as God lives in our entire domain of life. And throughout that domain, all will always be well. When the soul is the master in human life, all will be well in human life, and the soul is always restored to its high place in life when we elect to be led by the Spirit of God. The soul is perfect, being created in the image of God. Therefore, the elimination of the imperfect in life must begin when the soul becomes the ruling power. When the soul rules in mind and body, it will live in every part of mind and body. And where the soul lives, there can be neither sickness nor pain, neither weakness nor want. When the soul is restored to its high place of majesty and power in life, all the ills of life must inevitably disappear. When the light returns, the darkness is no more. When the wholeness of the spirit becomes a living power in mind and body, the life of the person must necessarily become as clean, as strong, and as wholesome as the life of the soul. And such a state of being is invariably secured when the soul is selected to reign in the wonderful kingdom of man. The ills of life come only when we follow those desires to the person that are not inspired from within. But when the soul is restored, every desire of the person will be true to the life of the spirit. And he shall no longer follow darkness into wrong and distress, but we shall follow divine light into peace, wholeness, freedom, and joy. We naturally follow our desires in everything that we may think or do. Therefore, when all of our desires are born from above, we shall naturally keep the eye single upon the light from above, and in consequence will ever be led by the wisdom of God. When the soul is restored to complete mastership in the human domain, everything changes for the better. A new life begins, and all the elements of this new life contain possibilities for greater things than we ever knew before. We actually enter a new world, and the former things are passing away. What was against us either disappears or changes so completely that all its power is given to the promotion of what we have in view. And those things that always were for us become stronger and stronger until we feel that limitless power is on our side. When the soul rules the destiny of human life, all the forces of life will build for a greater and greater destiny. All things will move towards the heights. Want will give place to perpetual increase. Sickness will give place to wholeness and strength. And adversity will give place to harmony and joy. Restore the soul to mastery in your life, and your entire being will be restored to its birthright divine. All that is worthy and beautiful and sublime existence will begin to accumulate in your world, and life to you will be rich indeed. Follow the Spirit, and you will always go right. He will lead you into the path of righteousness, and whatever you think or do will always be for the best. In brief, nothing but the best can happen to you, because the Lord is your shepherd, and he will surely care for his own. The Spirit never leads into anything but that which is right, that which is good, and that which is best. When you do not follow the Spirit, you are either going wrong or you are drifting into channels that will finally take you into the wrong. You may not be consciously following the Spirit now, and yet you may seemingly be going right, but this does not mean that you are on the true path. Those who are not following the Spirit now are going wrong, and to them adversity will come sooner or later. Present conditions, however favorable, do not prove to you are on the right path that leads to freedom in the greater life. You are on that path only when you know that you are led by His Spirit in all things and at all times. We cannot judge according to appearance. The truth comes only from the supreme light within. And when we know the truth and live accordingly, we know that all will be right in the within, and in the without all will be right. We all follow the inner light to some degree. The soul is awakened as all and is prompting us all. But in many instances we are led by those personal desires that are not in harmony with real life. And we are influenced by external conditions and things. Thus we go wrong. And here is the cause of our troubles and pain. Whenever we go right because we have followed the higher promptings from within. And whenever we go wrong because we have followed those external conditions that are not in harmony with the real life within. But do we know when we are prompted by the soul? Do we know when we are led by the Spirit? How do we know when we are guided by the infinite and by infinite wisdom alone? At first we do not know. We may follow the Spirit at times without knowing that it is the Spirit, and at times we may think we are led by the Spirit and yet be mistaken. But every person who fully and absolutely decides to follow the Spirit in all things, henceforth and forever, will not long remain unconscious to the radiant presence of the Most High. If you will take this great step, your spirit will soon be attuned to the tender music of the still small voice, and your mind will be illumined more and more with the glory of His sight. Then you will know and never be mistaken. Whenever He speaks to you, then you will see His light at all times, and you will always know that it is the light divine. You will readily discern the meaning of His will in all things, and you will find that to follow His will is to go where glory is waiting, not to some other world, but to His world, here and now. There is another and better world, here and now, wherein we may all dwell in a never-ending today. And the light of His Spirit leads directly into the freedom and joy of that beautiful world. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for Thou art with me, Thy rod and Thy staff, they comfort me. When God is with us, nothing but that which is good can happen. It matters not that we may meet or what we may be required to pass through. Good will be the final outcome. We need fear no condition that can possibly arise. Supreme power is with us, and we may overcome and surmount anything. We shall come out of every experience uninjured and unharmed. Nothing can hurt us, because there can be no hurt in the presence of infinite goodness, infinite power, and infinite love. Wherever we are called, we may safely go. Whatever we are expected to do, we may proceed. So long as we feel and know that God is with us, all will be well. We shall be led, guided, directed, and protected. We may, without doubt or fear, proceed to do our part, and leave results to higher power. The very best will come to pass. Even though things happen for a short time that seem adverse, the outcome of everything will be good, very good. The light of divine wisdom is guiding our life, our thought, our actions, our destiny, and therefore all things will work together for the highest good that we can possibly realize in every state of continued existence. What is here spoken of as the valley of the shadow of death is the most extreme condition of danger that a person can possibly pass through. There can be no worse state or threatening calamity than that of the dark valley. Yet even there I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. It matters not to what extreme we may be taken by circumstance or fate. God is equal to all our needs. He can protect us and guide us anywhere, and He will. He can take us out in safety, and He will surely do so if we have selected Him as our shepherd. And not simply because His power is supreme, but also because where God is, there can be no evil. There is no evil to fear where God is, because there can be no evil where God is. Be with God, and God will be with you. And when God is with you, you are ever in the presence of the good and the beautiful. You are in a world where freedom is complete, where truth is omnipresent, and where all the elements of life are in touch with higher and better things. When we are in the presence of danger, we almost invariably shrink into dread or fear of some kind. And when called upon to do what seems beyond us, or what we personally dislike, we usually hesitate, or refuse absolutely, but this is all a mistake. God is with us. We need fear nothing, for He will protect us in everything. God is our strength, and with His strength we can surely do anything that life may require of us. When we feel weak, we should remember that His rod and His staff are at our service. If we must have something to lean upon, His staff is ever at hand. And with such a staff we shall not fall down. No matter how heavy the burden, or how difficult the task, we shall not fall. His staff will support us whenever we may need support. His rod will hold us up whatever the circumstance may be, and the power of His presence will call us all the strength we require to reach any goal we may have in view. We should rather look upon difficulties as opportunities through which we may demonstrate to others the great truth that nothing is impossible when God is with us. And when called upon to do what seems beyond our capacity, we shall proceed nevertheless, pressing on in full faith that we can. God is with us, and when He is with us we can do anything that our present sphere of existence may require. If we have a great purpose to carry through, we need never hesitate. Though the opposition may be great and the obstacles seemingly insurmountable, we may safely proceed. We need fear neither danger nor defeat, for thou art with me. God will see us through. The Lord is our shepherd. We shall want for nothing. Indeed, we shall receive everything we may need to accomplish what we have undertaken. When the task seems hard and the flesh seems weak, then we should remember, Thy rod and Thy staff, they comfort me. And in that comfort our strength shall return, even more than enough to carry through the task that lies before us. We are equal to any occasion when God is with us, and God will always be with us, if that is our deepest prayer of the heart. Therefore we should never complain and never give up to weariness or defeat. When it seems as if we could do nothing more, God will do the rest. And if we take heart again and proceed in unison with Him, we shall become stronger than we ever were before. When it seems as if everything would be lost, we should refuse to judge according to the seeming. The Lord is my shepherd. The seeming loss will not take place. The tide will turn. God can turn anything in our favor, and if we accept Him as our shepherd, He always will. When God is our strength, how great indeed is that strength! With Him at our side, we have our own life in our own hands, and may do with it whatsoever we will. The present is ours to enjoy. The future is ours to create. Adverse indication means nothing. Threatening ills or failures mean nothing. We need fear none of these things. God is greater than all outward indications, and His greatness is with us, on our side, working for our happiness and welfare. We should never recognize that which seems to be against us, for when God is with us, His strength is our strength. His life is our life, and the wisdom that illumines His mind, the same wisdom shall illumine our minds also. We therefore can never have any occasion to fear, to hesitate, or to entertain doubts in any form or manner. The Lord is our shepherd. He will surely care for His own, and whatever is necessary to give fullness, perfection, and completeness to the great eternal now, that we shall all receive. God is with us when we choose to be with God. This is a simple secret. When we select Him as our shepherd, then we become His own. Then He will care for us, guide us, and protect us. Then He will place the gates ajar so we may enter into the pastures green. Then He will lead us beside the still waters into the peace and joy of the beautiful life. It will be all as we desire. The infinite is ever ready, and it is our privilege to accept His goodness today. But to accept Him as our shepherd does not mean that we must completely relinquish our own will and our own way. When we decide to go God's way, we shall find what He is helping us to gain our way. And when we decide to follow His will, we shall find that He is giving us all the power required to carry out their will. Thus we shall find that the goodness of God is far greater than we thought, and that His love is as boundless as the infinite sea. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. When God is with us, we shall continue to enjoy the best that life can give, regardless of what surrounding conditions may be. Though things may seemingly be against us, and though we may be in the presence of enmity and adversity, nevertheless those things shall neither touch us nor disturb us. In the midst of such circumstance, or any kind of circumstance, God will prepare a table of everything that is rich and desirable in life. Whatever may happen in the world in which we live, God will protect us from loss. His table will always be richly laden, and it will be our privilege to partake according to our largest, most heartful need. When the Lord is our shepherd, we need fear neither persons nor things that may seem to be against us. When God is with us, nothing can be against us. We have a place at His table, and those who are guests at His table shall want for nothing. He will provide for His guests and provide richly. Therefore, if we accept Him as our everlasting host, we need never be disturbed about our condition, circumstance, or event. The best will happen, and all will always be well. When things go wrong with those who are living only for the world, things will go right with us. Misfortune cannot overtake us. In His presence the power of evil is powerless, and we are ever in His presence so long as we elect that we shall be so. When we take God with us and leave all our plans and desires with God before we decide, there will not even be indications of misfortunes or adversity in our world. He will continue to prepare His table before us, and we shall continue to enjoy both the good things of this world and the meat that ye know not of. We shall continue in prosperity, even though all who live in the material world go down into adversity. The Lord is our shepherd, and we shall not want. However, if we should meet with that which would seem the indications of a threatening misfortune, we need not be disturbed. There may be temporary losses, and adverse conditions may come so near as to almost enter into our very lives. Nevertheless, we need not be disturbed. Whatever may threaten to happen, we need fear no evil, for Thou art with me. The entire experience will simply prove to be an open door to better things and greater things than we ever knew before. Such experiences sometimes come to those who are in His care, not often but sometimes, and they come to test our faith, our spiritual strength, and our dependence upon Him. They come to prepare us for a greater life, for pastures green, for new fields of endeavor, and for a higher mission in the world. Count it all joy. So long as we are with God, God will be with us, and He will cause all things to work together for the greater good than we ever dreamed. Whatever may come to the world, the best alone can come to us, and we shall thus not only realize the richness and the beauty of that life that is lived in God, but we shall become living examples to the world, proving to the world that God's way is best. We shall then demonstrate to all who have eyes to see that to follow the light of the Spirit is to follow that light that leads to everything that is worthy and beautiful and endless existence. The world believes that the spiritual life leads away from happiness and abundance. We must prove to everybody that the spiritual life leads to greater happiness and a richer life than we have ever known before. And we can prove this when we take the Lord for our shepherd, when we accept a place at His table. We shall demonstrate in the most tangible and the most convincing manner that to go with God is to go where every person may supply his every need, and not only be supplied, but supplied in the richest, the most worthy, and most ideal manner conceivable. To go with God is to find everything the heart can wish for in this world, and in addition, the infinite glory, the gorgeous splendor, and the supreme joy of His kingdom on the heights. To be anointed with oil is to have everything that is worthy and superior come down to us. The oil of all things is the richest essence of all things. And when we are anointed with this richest essence, our minds become enriched with all that has quality and worth, all that is high in the scale of being, and it is but natural that the mind that lives and thinks with God should be constantly enriched. Everything that comes from God has quality, everything that we receive from God has high worth, and everything that pertains to the spiritual life contains all the elements of real superiority. Therefore, to follow God is to rise eternally in the scale of superior being. When we elect to go with God, we leave behind us all that is common, ordinary, or inferior, and we put on the royal garments of true quality and high worth. We become superior in body, mind, and soul, and every element in our being becomes a living expression of that quality that reveals the royal presence of God. When we are actually living in the Spirit and can fully appreciate all that is good and beautiful in real life, we become so filled with gratitude and joy that neither thoughts nor words can express what we feel. It is then that we wish as never before, that the mind could fathom and the tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Our cup is running over. We have everything that can fill the fullness of life with richness of life, and our joy is great indeed. Words fail us, but that something within that is far more eloquent than words gives utterance to what we wish to say. And as we listen, this language divine becomes heavenly music, repeating again and again that tender refrain, God's beautiful gift to me. To always live in the realization of that sublime state of being where our cup is running over is to become conscious more and more of the great truth that real life has everything that man can wish for and infinitely more. And as we grow in the conscious realization of this truth, the power of this truth will manifest itself in our external world. Then we shall find increase everywhere, wherever we may go in the physical world, in the mental world, or in the spiritual world. God will prepare His table before us, and we shall enjoy the richest feast that His infinite goodness can possibly provide. In every domain of existence, His bountiful hand will be our supply, and our cup will always be running over. When we feel and realize in the world of the Spirit that we shall gain in the world of things, thus our joy becomes complete. All that we need is always at hand, and all that we desire for a greater existence shall be speedily supplied. And wherever our place in life may be, God will appear and prepare His table before us. He will be our supply always and everywhere, and existence will be rich indeed. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When the soul enters the faith that leads eternally into the kingdom, the entire being of man is placed in the keeping of the Spirit of goodness. The power that works for the good and the good only will henceforth be with man under every circumstance and condition, and all his actions will be attended by the angel of mercy. His life will be lived in the consciousness of the infinite presence, and this consciousness is the open door to the house of the Lord. The moment we feel that God is closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet, we are upon the threshold of the sublime spiritual world, the Father's house of the many mansions, and from that moment we may dwell in His house forever. From that moment all will be changed. Life will never seem ordinary, commonplace, or mere existence any more. We have seen the house beautiful. We have felt the touch of life that God gives. We have been on the heights, and we have had a glimpse of the glory that eternity holds in store. Henceforth, there is so much to live for that simply to think of the ever-ascending destiny that lies before us is in itself a source of unspeakable joy. Then who can measure the peace, the joy in brief, the unbounded ecstasy that must follow the living of the life? Those who have been led beside the still waters know the meaning of such a life. Those who have entered the house of the Lord know what it is prepared for them that love Him. But tongues can never tell, and only the mind of the soul can understand. The soul, the spirit, is to enter the glorified vastness of the great spiritual mind within, and here is wisdom. Spiritual things must be spiritually discerned. We must enter spiritual light in order to know the reality of our own divine being, and the mind of the soul is eternally illumined with this light. There are no mysteries in spiritual consciousness. All is clear. The meaning of life is perfectly understood. The purpose of it all is distinctly revealed, and the soul knows what it is about every step of the way. Every soul that goes with God in all things and at all times will ever live in this consciousness, and will ever rise higher and higher into the greater brilliancy and the more sublime beauty of the spiritual light. To live such a life is to dwell in the house of the Lord, and whosoever may dwell in the house forever. The world in which we live may not at present contain everything that the heart can wish for, but there is another and a better world that does contain everything. Our human dwelling place may not be perfect, it may not be complete, it may not satisfy the soul's longing for the ideal and the beautiful, but the house of the Lord can satisfy. We therefore need not be unhappy. Personal life need not be incomplete, because there are seeming limitations among external conditions. The fact that we manifest in visible form does not mean that we should live wholly among visible things. The law of true being is to manifest in the personal, but to always live in the spiritual. The house of the Lord is our true dwelling place now and forever. And as there are many mansions in the Father's house, innumerable mansions, we shall not be confined to one place or one state of existence. We shall live in each of these mansions. We shall enjoy them all. We shall pass through them as all eternity goes on. No matter how lofty the present abode of the soul, there is always something higher. No matter how unspeakable our spiritual joys today, or any time in eternity, there are always greater joys coming in days that are yet to come. We thus realize what it means to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When we have entered to dwell permanently in the house of the Lord, existence, both personal and spiritual, becomes perpetual joy. Whatever external conditions may be, or whatever may come and go in personal life, we are always in the joy everlasting, in the peace that passeth understanding, in the world on high where all is forever well. We no longer depend upon things, and we no longer move by things. We have transcended the world of things. We have gained the power to perfectly use things, and we are attaining the mastery of all things. We are living in God's world, the world of limitless richness, happiness, and power. Therefore the world of things constitutes but a small part of our vast and wonderful domain. We have found so many sources of joy, so many states of being that can add to the value of life, that though other things should sometimes fail, we are never affected in the least. Confusion and failure in the outer world means no more to us than the loss of a penny would mean to a man who owns a mountain of gold. Things may come and go in the outer world, but we are living in the house of the Lord. In that house there is never confusion, trouble, nor pain. In that house there can be neither failure nor want. The Most High provides for the house. Therefore, so long as we dwell in His house, we shall want for nothing. Whatever may come or go, we shall always have abundance, both in the within and the without. We need fear nothing. We may rejoice always, for in His house all is well, and for evermore shall be. Dream on, fair soul, dream on. Thy visions are not in vain. Other and greater worlds are waiting for thee. Dream on, fair soul, dream on. Let thy spirit ascend to the supreme heights of those greater worlds, where thou shalt behold the glory and splendor of that sublime existence that is in store for thee. And let nothing that may come or go in the waking hours cause thee to forget what thou hast seen. For the time is near when the dream of night shall rise with the morning, but shall not depart with the setting sun. What thou hast seen in thy vision shall come to remain, and what thy lofty moments have revealed to thee shall become thine own forever. End of chapter.